I was at the presentation of the Honda XL750 Transalp, and a few days before that I rode the Yamaha Tenere 700. These two bikes are direct competitors. Is the new Transalp the Tenere killer, the new queen of affordable touring enduro? Find out in this video. Stay tuned. The sales figures for the Yamaha Tenere 700 speak for themselves. It is the queen of the lighter touring enduros. But Honda is now entering the market with the reissue of the Honda Transalp and wants to score points with plenty of power, low weight and a competitive price. Does it have a chance of taking the throne? The fact that the Tenere 700 is the champion of lightweight touring enduros comes as no surprise, as for a long time only the Japanese model was available on the market. With the Aprilia Tuareg 660, there was some belated competition from Italy, but this never really posed a threat to the popular purist. However, it is certainly not easy to put together a competitive product, because in the already demanding touring enduro market, these adventure bikes of around 700 cubic are also expected to be lightweight, offer good value for money, and at the same time deliver a certain level of performance. Half measures won't get you very far, which is why Honda has revived the legendary Transalp name and is now bringing out the big guns. The very first glance at the technical data sheets raises expectations of a fierce duel between the Tenere and Transalp. They are very similar in many respects, in some cases almost identical. Both touring enduros have an inline two-cylinder engine with a crankpin offset at their heart, one with 689 cubic centimetre and the other with 755 cubic centimetre. The Tenere 700 weighs 204 kg ready to ride, compared to 208 kg for the Honda Transalp. Both have a 90-90-21 front wheel and a 150-70-18 rear wheel. The wheelbase differs by only 3 cm, the height by only 5 mm, and the fuel consumption is even completely identical. The non-adjustable upside-down telescopic fork on the XL750 has 200 mm of suspension, while the Tenere has 210 mm. The monoshocks have 200 mm and 190 mm suspension travel, 5-inch TFT displays, LED lighting elements and smartphone connectivity are also on board both bikes. So there are plenty of similarities. But from the very first few meters on the new Transalp, I noticed that the supposed similarities are only on paper. At the presentation of the Transalp in the Portuguese Algarve, the developers from Honda explained to us that accessibility is a central point of the Transalp, then as now. And you can feel it. On the first few meters in the local area, and in slow traffic, the light handling of the Transalp is noticeable. Its 208 kg are quite low and central, which gives it a low centre of gravity, in combination with the low seat height of 850 mm for touring enduros. The engine that revs up cleanly from just under 2000 RPM and a finely controllable, smooth-running clutch. It is very effortless to move at slow speeds. The ergonomics are also very relaxed with an upright riding position, wide handlebars and an almost right-angled knee angle. The Tenere also boasts a very easy-to-handle engine, but remains somewhat tippy at very slow speeds and when manoeuvring due to its seat height of 880 mm and a rather top-heavyweight distribution. As soon as the urban area ends, the winding roads of the hilly Algarve begin. The good tarmac and tight bends, which are just made for spikers, invite you to take fast corners. With 92 horsepower, the Transalp should actually be clearly superior here, but the crossblend inline 4 has been a favourite of the motorcycle community for years for good reason. In tight corners, the high torque unit can easily keep up with the Honda's more powerful engine. Only on straights, where you can leave the throttle open for longer, you realise that there are only 73 horses galloping in the Yamaha. However, the engine is not the biggest difference between the Transalp and Tenere during the joyful chase around bends. Rather, it is the overly soft knees and stocky shape of the Honda. In order to be able to offer a low and accessible seat height, the suspension travel of the Transalp has been kept relatively short. To ensure that the knee angle remains comfortable, the footrests are also quite low. The final factor is the very soft suspension setup, which is also only adjustable in terms of preload. If you ride into the radius with momentum, the Transalp bends quite a bit, reduces the ground height of 210 mm even further, and the footrests scrape faster than on most touring enduros. If bumps are added to this when leaning, inadequate damping on the shock absorber also becomes noticeable, and the rear tends to bounce a little. However, all of this is within a range that allows for lively rides and leisurely touring without any problems. However, sporty riders who also like to ride at higher lean angles on their touring enduro will quickly push the Transalp to its limits. Although the Tenere also has a comfortably tuned suspension, it does not have the sedan chair character of the Transalp. It remains somewhat more stable, but above all offers more lean angle freedom, which enables higher cornering speed with sufficient grip. In terms of angles, it only loses out in terms of electronic equipment, because while the Transalp shoots crisply through the gears with the optional, well-functioning quick shifter, the ride on the Purist is still old school and analog. Off the beaten track, the differences in the basic philosophy and design of the two motorcycles are most obvious. Here too, the Honda XL750 Transalp is accessible, almost a little overcautious. The gravel mode is very restrictive and, according to Honda, deliberately designed for safety. But even in the freely configurable user mode, the 6-stage traction control is still too attentive at the weakest level and takes away too much power. However, the good-natured engine can be very finely controlled thanks to its linear power delivery. In addition to the electronics, the ergonomics are also noticeably not designed for rough terrain. Wide gravel roads and dirt tracks on flat terrain are no problem and even feel good thanks to the wide handlebars. But when the going gets tougher and, above all, steeper, the footrests, which are positioned very far down and at the front, become its undoing. At least for me, at 1.85 metre, it is not possible to bring my body weight far enough to the front to keep my hands loose on the handlebars when going uphill and accelerating. So you're constantly pulling yourself towards the handlebars, which costs strength and control. The Yamaha Tenere 700, on the other hand, has been inspiring adventurers all over the world since its launch and is perfect for off-road riding. The suspension is long and stable enough. The engine, with its fine throttle response and powerful performance, is almost impossible to stall, and the ergonomics are perfect, at least for me. One disadvantage in loose terrain is the laborious adjustment of the 3-stage ABS. This is annoying due to the awkward steering wheel and unintuitive operation, especially because the ABS always resets itself when the engine is switched off, unless you stall the bike. Another shortcoming is its top heaviness, which means that it requires an astonishing amount of force to get upright again in the event of a fall. And if you have involuntary contact with the ground, the exhaust and the welded rear frame are also known weak points, which the Transalp also has. Here they are once again neck and neck. The wind protection is passable on both bikes, but with the standard windshield, it causes turbulence on my helmet. Both bikes offer touring windshields as original accessories. There are also only small differences in fuel consumption and range. The Transalp gets approx 390 km from its 16.9 litre tank with a consumption of 4.3 litre per 100 km. The Tenere manages approx 370 km with its 16 litre tank and 4.5 litre per 100 km. The Transalp has a clear advantage when travelling thanks to its stronger rear frame and the 210 kg payload it can carry. Although this is not earth-shattering, it is still better than the permitted 190 kg on the Tenere. Last but not least, we come to the electronics. Apart from ABS and the new TFT display, the Tenere has nothing on board. As an avowed purist and with a still classic throttle cable, this is neither surprising nor can it be blamed for it. However, the Transalp is equipped with ride-by-wire, offering 4 riding modes that allow you to adjust the throttle response to the respective riding situation at the touch of a button. However, a real touring essential, and the most important feature for long-distance riders, is unfortunately missing. Despite the electronic throttle grip, which is technically easy to implement, there is no cruise control for the Transalp, not even for good money. Let's talk about the price comparison of the Transalp and Tenere. Due to its high demand, the price of the Yamaha Tenere 700 in Austria has risen from €11,000 when it was first launched in 2020 to €12,099. This puts it a good €500 above the Honda XL750 Transalp, which is available in Austria from €11,590 as of April 2023. An inclusion on the comparison of the Honda XL750 Transalp and Yamaha Tenere. The supposedly closed duel only exists on paper. In reality, the Honda XL750 Transalp and Yamaha Tenere 700 go in very different directions. Even in its new edition, the Transalp presents itself as a well-behaved, accessible bread-and-butter motorcycle, which is primarily aimed at everyday riders and relaxed tourers. The Tenere, on the other hand, also offers a unique recipe in the touring enduro segment in 2023, which combines the versatile two-cylinder engine with the purest enduro spirit, and thus primarily appeals to adventurers and off-road. Both motorcycles are balanced enough to poach a little in each other's territory, but the central focus remains fundamentally different. Thank you for watching this comparison. If you have any questions, comment below. We will try to answer everything. Feel free to leave us a like. To make sure you don't miss any video in the upcoming future, subscribe to our channel and stay tuned.